How is as-salah remembering Allah? And what is it about as-salah that is the remembrance of Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also said in Surah Al-Anbiya, which is the 21st surah, ayah 25. He has said, لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدوني. There is no God but I. فاعبدوني. So worship me. Do ibadah to me. Surah Al-Anbiya, the 21st surah, ayah 25. What is ibadah? How do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He has now given us another command stating that there is no God but Him. Clearly. And that due to the fact that there is no God but Him, He has then connected that with the next statement in which He said, so worship me. How do we worship Him? How do we convey to Him our obedience and obeisance to the fact that He is the only God? How can we go about doing that? We have a serious problem because we are not able, by looking at that passage, to immediately discern what exactly the ibadah or the worship is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually commanding. We're not able to know that. And this is an actual serious difficulty that exists because of the fact that we don't know what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering us. There is just this word, as-salah. What is the salah? Does it have foundations? Is the salah to be done standing, sitting? Or is it merely a statement that is said on the tongue of a believer? And what is the benefit that comes from it? Let us take another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ. He, Shu'aib, said, O my people, worship Allah. You do not have a God other than Him. This is Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th surah, ayah 85. Now again, we're wondering, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to render worship to Him. What exactly is worship? What is it? How do we know what the worship is? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us clearly that we must render worship to Him. But if we cannot do that, then that means that we have a deficiency. And if we have a deficiency, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call us to account for not discharging the rights that are due to Him. The next common word that occurs in the Qur'an is the word az-zakah. Az-zakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah, ayah 55. He says, إنما وليكم الله والرسول والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. Your protector is only Allah, His messenger, and those who establish as-salah and give and discharge as-zakah, and they do ruku'. Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah, ayah 55. Now again, we have another problem. Because again, the ayah says our only protector is Allah and His messenger and those who establish as-salah. We still have not been able to define as-salah. We have been unable to, based on the passages that are in front of us. Then it says for us to discharge as zakah. Now this word as zakah in Arabic, the root letters, za, kaf, and ya, can actually mean, or in its actual foundational root, that word can mean purification. It can mean purity. It can mean a physical or spiritual purification. So how are we to actually discharge spiritual or physical purification, this word as zakah? Or perhaps it could be referring to a monetary amount. Now the person that you're discussing this with, at one moment, may become indignant and say, it is obvious and everyone knows that as zakah is referring to the actual amount of money that we take out every year, and we give that to those Muslims who are poor within our community. That is obvious. Let's not play silly games, or let us not pretend that we don't know the meaning of the ayat. We reply to them. We are not playing silly, and we are not playing dumb. We are saying that this word as zakah that you are interpreting into the English or whatever language that you're using to mean that amount of money that is discharged every year is an interpreted meaning. Where have you taken this meaning from the Quranic text itself? Number one. Number two, how do you know that it is 1/40th of your income or 2.5%? Show us in the Quran where this evidence exists. At this moment, if you have a concordance of the Quran, hand it to them and ask them to open it to zakah or charity and have them show you the evidence that zakah, the Arabic word zakah, means charity. And in addition to that, that the word zakah has somewhere mentioned in the Quran 2.5%. Ask them to show you that due to the fact that you are not in need of the Sunnah. Ask them to show you this particular passage. They will not be able to bring it. In addition to that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the believers are those who establish as salah, they give and discharge as zakah, and they do ruku'. Now what is ruku'? Because this Arabic word composed of the three letters, ra, kaf, and ayn, can have the meaning of bowing down. It can mean prostrating. It can mean bending. It has many different meanings and shades of meaning. What does it mean? What does this word mean? And show us evidence from the Quran of what this word means, where it is clearly spelled out to us, because we don't want to go to the Sunnah. We only want to use the Quran. This will, of course, cause them exasperation, because they are going to attempt to search in vain for texts that will clearly explain all of what you are questioning them on. And there are no such texts in the Revelation. Rather, there are references to Allah and His Messenger. And the Messenger's job is what? To bear the revelation of the Quran and, according to Surah Al-Nahl, the 16th Surah, Ayah 44, explain and clarify to humanity what was sent to them, and so they might think. But they are still expressing doubts. You should then take them to Surah Al-Dhariyat, the 51st Surah, Ayah 19. And you should quote to them the passage where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِسَائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. And in their wealth there is a share for the one asking and the deprived. Surah Al-Dhariyat, the 51st Surah, Ayah 19. Now again, the questions have to come hard and fast. Who is the there being referred to in the ayah? Is it referring to men? Women? Because the actual pronoun ending, hum, could be referring to a mixed group of men and women, or all men. So is it men or women that this is being referred to? Are they believers or unbelievers? Are they Muslims or kuffar that this particular action is compulsory for. And it says there is a share for the one asking and the deprived. A share of what? A share of the wealth. What is the wealth? Is it food? Is it money? Is it gold? Is it stocks? Bonds? What is it? And who is the one asking and the deprived? Is it plausible that someone could merely approach you from the street and ask you to give them a share of your wealth and you have to discharge it to them? Or could it be the case that someone from your family could ask you and that you have to discharge it for them? Or could it be the government? What could it be? And the deprived is also mentioned in the ayah, the mahroom. How do we know the mahroom? Are we to search for them? Are we to look for them? Are we to look for the deprived amongst the kuffar or the Muslims? Or perhaps, when we mean the mahroom, is it those who we think are deprived? And is it spiritual deprivation, mental deprivation, physical deprivation? Do they have to be young, old? Who are these deprived people? That is an answer. That is a question that needs an answer. How do we know the meaning of the ayah in its context? What is it? What does it mean? And how do we know? And how have we come to the understanding of what we believe that it means? Another ayah on the topic of the word as zakah that is also important is Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th surah, ayah 60. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم. As-sadaqat are only for the poor, the needy, those who are employed to administer the funds, those who their hearts may be brought closer to the truth due to it, those who are in debt in the cause of Allah, and the traveler. Indeed, it has been ordained by Allah, and Allah is the all-knowing, the all-wise. Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th surah, ayah 60. Now, what is the meaning of this word as sadaqat? Now we know that the Arabic word sad, dal, and qaf has the meaning of charity, but that can also mean truthfulness. It can also mean purification. What does this word mean? And it says it's only for the poor. Again, how do we define the poor? What are the criterion for someone being seen as poor and needy? Aren't the two words, fuqara and masakin, poor and needy, aren't they synonyms? Okay, they're different words in Arabic, but aren't they synonyms? Those who are employed to administer the funds. How do you go about employing people to administer the funds? And what funds? Whose funds? Where are they? And then it mentions those who their hearts may be brought closer to the truth due to it. How do we know who the people are whose hearts need to be brought closer? How will we judge how sincere they are? And who are those people? And how much do we give them? In fact, what is the sadaqat? What is it that we are giving them? Those who are in debt. What do we mean by debt? How far in debt? 5,000? 10,000? 15,000? What's the limit where someone is actually considered truly in debt? Is it if they owe just a few shillings or a few cents, a few euros? Or is it when the number goes into the thousands or the hundreds, or the millions, billions? How do we know? In the cause of Allah. Now that's a very ambiguous statement if we have no other way to explain it. Does that mean only soldiers? Or could it be people that merely think they're in the cause of Allah? There are many that say, I'm in the cause of Allah. Help me. How do we go about helping them if we don't even know what it is we're supposed to be helping them with? And the traveler, Who is the traveler?